thought that these monologues of mine that I start the show with, they should carry these are not the views of the station caveat, and probably no more than today. So, that said, I want to talk about loyalty. Now, I have long heard from the terraces muttering that riders today have no loyalty anymore. This, they say, probably stems from doubling up and down and from riding abroad and so on. Well, I'm afraid what I've got to say, Chris, what I've got to say is that is a load of rollicks. Nearly.
Almost.
Now, why should riders be loyal when supporters are not, promoters are not, team managers are not, supporters saying this rider should go, team managers getting rid of that rider, and so on and so forth. So, where am I leading with this? Well, it is safe to say that I am personally disappointed in the releasing of James Pearson from Birmingham. Now, I know that Speedway is famously a numbers game, but for me, it leaves a sour taste. For me, it's the wrong decision. However, I know Matt says it's the right decision. And at the same time, I do understand that something had to be done at Birmingham, and I have to approve the new team managers for moving quickly. So welcome to Troy Batchelor and Sam Hagan, who have done nothing wrong. And I just want to thank Lawrence Rogers. The man is a legend in my books, only in Speedway.
Good evening, everybody.
How are we doing, folks?
Yeah, good. We're all
Shall
back.
Shall we just get this bit over with? Okay, shall we just get this bit over with? How was your holiday?
It's great.
Okay, we're not interested. Okay, fine.
What about the thong? No, you don't want the thongs? No, you don't want the sword?
No, thank you.
No, thank you very much.
No, thank you. Just undid it.
It's your loss.
Do we have anybody on the shout box yet?
We've got absolutely hundreds.
Okay, well, let's give a shout back to
so
some of
we've
them.
got John Bird, Andrew Garner, Simon Corbett, Jeff Daniels. There's a load more people that I can't actually see at the moment, so I'll get back to you in a bit.
Is this something to do with some disease you picked up on your holiday? Oh, God, I have to mention that word again. Dear me. Okay, so, well, there's been a lot happening in the world since we last broadcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's just a Perry Bar.
That's just absolutely. And Wolverhampton getting knocked out of the Knockout Cup. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but I'm used to that now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I'm laughing about. We've been knocked out of everything at the moment. Yeah, and a couple of GPs happened, and Mr. Schmarzlik seems to have his hand, at least one hand, firmly on the trophy now. And we have to say that, I forgot his name again. You'll tell me.
Dan Bewley.
Dan Bewley. I've got a mental block with his name. I'm sorry, Dan. Making semi-finals again. It's going to be sponsored by Viagra because now you can only make semis.
Yeah.
You
were told not to do that again earlier.
Sorry.
This is true. We've got the shout box up now. Yeah. Jeff Daniels, evening chaps. Dave Twine, sounds good.
Good.
Rich Thomas, Hagan, a good signing. Not sure about Batch. You see, I would have probably turned that on the head. Nothing against Sam Hagan. I hope he does really well. But if you look at his scores in the National Development League and you look at James Pearson's scores in the National Development League, they don't compare, do they?
Not really, no.
But it's this numbers game. He carries his 4-point average, whereas Sam Hagan has a 2-point average, which obviously then allows us to have Batch. Batches are obviously going to do better than the RR we've been doing for James Wright, you would have thought. So the proof of the will be in the...
I think ultimately Birmingham had to do something because they couldn't carry on the way they were going.
Yeah, absolutely. We had to do something. The supporters would have lynched somebody. I think.
They were getting fed up, weren't they? Just a tad. So.
I said at the tail end of my monologue, thank Lawrence Rogers, the stuff that guy has done for the club that people don't know about, and the stuff that guy continues to do for the club.
Yep. And will continue to do so as well.
Yeah, it's just, big up to Lawrence Rogers.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with Stuart Dixon's what's the ruthlessness so far, and we'll find out.
Well, he's proven already he's a winner, isn't he? He had a very good record at Leicester. Didn't have such a great record at Glasgow, but certainly Leicester in the 2 or 3 years they were back in the second tier were very, very strong. Didn't lose. I think they didn't. Don't think they lost many home matches at all, if any, during the 2 years. He was the 2 years or so he'd been in charge of them when they were in the Championship. So very good record, and I think as you know. I mean, we all know Lawrence, great guy, but I think Stuart Dixon has that little bit of nastiness and ruthlessness about him, which maybe doesn't come naturally to. No, that's not a criticism of Lawrence, by the way, because he's a great guy. But I think Stuart Dixon's record really speaks for itself, certainly in Leicester, and of course Leicester making a good fist of things in the Premiership so far. Injuries.
Yeah, and we should talk about that. They really are doing. It's a little bit frustrating from a Birmingham point of view to see Nick Morris and Justin Sedgman doing really well in that league, and possibly not as. I mean, the expectation is higher for them in this league. I think so. Yeah, we have to say that.
Absolutely.
But it is frustrating. But yeah, I did notice that Nick Morris did his normal thing that he's been doing for Birmingham, which is starting off very slow. And then finishing like a train, and of course we haven't had the team to help carry that sort of transition, if you like, along. Maybe we have now. We can hope. I've just been reading Stuart Dixon's comments. I'm moving my pen away because I know it's going to annoy Chris if I don't. I've been reading Stuart Dixon's comments, and he's been talking about the team showing a ruthlessness and getting stuck in, essentially, and that's really, really what's been missing, I think.
I think so. I think there was a lot, certainly in the last meeting, which was Oxford. I think there was quite a bit of criticism of some of the tactical moves that Lawrence Rodgers made early on in the meeting.
I don't think it made an ounce of difference.
It probably didn't, but I don't think it probably didn't help matters. I mean, Birmingham, I think they made a good start. Obviously, they got in front early, but once Oxford got in front, there was you just couldn't see a way back.
We was in front for a nanosecond.
Yeah. One race, wasn't it? So,
yeah.
But no, I mean Birmingham. I think it's probably going to be too late for the playoffs. But I think Birmingham certainly need to be in a position where they need to be at least winning home matches. Well,
you say that, but it only needs one team to have an injury. I mean, not that I would wish injuries on, but that's what happens in this sport. It only takes one team to have a load of bad luck and to just tank.
Yeah.
And you never know. There's no hope until. There's always hope until there's no hope. Is I guess what I'm saying.
Certainly from a crowd level, though, because the majority, I think, the vast. I mean, there was obviously quite a few went travelled down to Oxford last week, but the vast majority of supporters at any clubs only see home meetings, so they want you've got to be winning your home matches. That's an absolute must. Certainly. So far, with this season, Birmingham home defeat after home defeat after home defeat. That's not been good.
Defeat after defeat after defeat, home and away, really. I mean, apart from that one
Plymouth match,
bright spot Plymouth match, and we've got some interesting matches coming up at home.
Yep.
You get the feeling that there might be more changes.
I think there will be. I think,
and perhaps the riders tomorrow may be riding a little bit for their places.
Well, it's a cliche, isn't it? They say this in football that players often raise themselves when a new manager arrives. It's going to be the same with this.
I hope so.
It's got to be, because I think everybody's going to know now that they're on trial. Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've got to be shown. They haven't shown enough this season. I've seen, certainly in the Oxford meeting, I saw too many hands going in the air. Too many people just sort of almost resigned once they got past.
Yes.
I don't like to say that from Speedway riders. I think you've got to fight all the way to the checkered flag.
You don't give your place up easily.
No.
That's goes without saying, but yeah, we just said it. Rich Thomas said Hagen guested for Swindon at Poole and looked really good. I'd be interested to know how many points he scored.
I haven't seen Sam Hagen ride.
No, I haven't either. I mean, I'm only going by what I've read in results and so on.
Yep.
So he guested for Swindon, looked really good, but did he score any points?
Well, I'm going to send a tape. I'm going to send a tape of your monologue off to him. So
To Sam.
Yep.
I haven't criticised Sam. I would never criticise him.
I meant to what you were saying before. I meant to what you were saying because I did actually record it on here before we went on there. So,
wow.
So,
I don't know what I said now. Okay. You can tell me later. Okay. Well, this show's not all about Birmingham. So, Wolverhampton got knocked out of the cup.
Out of the cup, which is not unusual, but at least we got to the semi-final this time.
Well, he only needed to win one match to get to the semi-final.
Yeah, well, sort of. Yeah, I mean, obviously the damage was done at Sheffield a couple of weeks ago. We sort of capitulated towards the end of that one. In the end, losing by 18, and really good effort last night. And Rory Schline's engine failure in heat 7 proved costly because we were on a 5-1 in that race, and at that stayed as it was, we would have forced a run off. So it was a really, really, really good effort. Very good meeting. A little bit sobering walking out of the stadium. You're suddenly realising that's possibly going to be the last knockout cup meeting I'm going to see at Monmouth Green.
Yeah,
see how things go. But it would have been fantastic to have got through to the final. But it was always once the draw came through and it was Sheffield, it was always going to be a tough ask. Sheffield have got a good record at Monmouth over the last couple of years, and they are a strong team.
Yeah, we should talk a little bit about that. What's the feeling at Monmouth Green at the moment about this new track that's been?
Optimism. Obviously, I can't say too much. But I think there's a lot of optimism. I think what the plan hopefully is that somewhere can be found by sort of August, and then if there's something concrete in place to where the club know they're going to get it, then there's the potential then to possibly go back to Ladbrokes and say, can we do one more year while we're getting the new site ready? But I don't think Chris Van Straten is going to do that until he's got something in black and white that there's going to be a new site. Which I think is the best way to go about it.
Absolutely,
the relationship between the stadium owners and the Wolves promotion remains very, very good, and I think that's important. They weren't going all guns blazing into the press at the time, criticising them, because you've got to try and get them on side and keep the relationship as good as possible. And I think that's what they've done. Yeah,
and I think that's something that Birmingham are looking at a bit as well from their point of view now, because they've got West Midlands Lord Mayor Andy Street coming over tomorrow to watch the match, and of course we don't know what's happening next year at that Perry Bar. There's all sorts of machinations and noises off and all the rest of it about what might be available, what might not be available. We potentially might not have a stadium next year, so keeping in with the council and showing them Speedway is a vibrant sport and is needed, I guess, and that's a little sort of dig for all the supporters that haven't turned up. That actually we really need you to turn up.
I think so. Yeah,
it's very, very do or die at the moment. Ask Matt, did RR for Balago win Sheffield the match?
It's fair to say Balago's not. I don't think Balago would list Monmouth Green as one of his best tracks, so I think it probably certainly made an advantage. Going into the meeting, I thought it was going to be, certainly with having Carl Howarth at reserve as an ex-Wolves rider and an experienced rider, he would make a big, big difference. He didn't ride that well, to be honest. I think he only got I think he got 8 points from 7 rides.
Right.
You certainly would have expected him to have got
from 7 rides,
more than that.
Yeah.
But I think. Yeah, I think it did make a bit of a difference. I have to say, Sheffield did bring quite a lot of fans down. Now there's a lot of Sheffield following there. They were very, very vocal, which added for a very good atmosphere.
Jeff Daniels has said Pickering just announced replacing Biago at Sheffield. Dylan's mentioned it as well. Leaving chaps, lots of news coming from Brum this week. Big signing in Batch. I reckon he'll come and do a job, and team suddenly looks stronger. And Sam Hagan is a very exciting prospect. Sheffield just announced Pico 2 to the shock of no one. And somebody underneath has said Sheffield will walk everything now Josh is back. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Well, they're certainly going to be in the mix.
It's going to make them stronger, isn't it?
Yeah. I think at the moment the team that I would probably tip to miss out on the top 4 is probably going to be Ipswich.
Which is the tip
because
that a lot of people, me included, to win the whole thing.
Yeah, well, they're very reliant on the top two of Doyle and Cypher for picking up big points, but they're not. The rest of the team are only picking up sort of.
Might be that
10, 11
they
points
might
between
need to
them.
start looking at
Making changes.
Apparently, Sam Hagan got 5 plus 1 from 4 rides, which I would take any day of the
Oh
week.
yeah, without doubt, without doubt.
Evening all, keep smiling. You're not a witch.
Who's he?
It said Jim Torrell. There you go.
Right, okay. Which one is he looking at?
And Dylan Spuddy Hodgett says 8 points from Gallegos. Thank you. RR last night. Then he's released tonight. Shock. Also, I'd be releasing Rory Schlein if I were Wolves. He's a consistent weak link, and last night proved it. I also don't think that Sam Masters looks the out-and-out number one he looked last season either. So this is just before we talk about that, this is sort of what I've been saying, and we're always going on about as supporters about riders not having loyalty. Mm-hmm. It's a two-way street, isn't it?
It is a two-way street, yeah. I think to a point, I can get where Dylan's coming from on Rory. 'Cause, I mean, he struggled. He didn't have a great night last night, but it was only just 2-3 weeks ago we won us the match against Ipswich. So I definitely would agree on Sam Masters. I think Sam Masters was poor last night. I thought he looked very, very slow. I was shocked that he got put in the last day because I didn't think he deserved that last 8 spot. He looked very, very. I mean, he won his first heat, but I mean, I think most of the points last night really he won on trackcraft because he just looked very, very slow. He's getting good big scores and looking good for Oxford, but he hasn't been quite as good. I mean, you could argue it's a stronger league this year. There's more top riders in it, so but
absolutely.
He's not going out against riders like that in every single race.
No. Because he's had injury problems this year, hasn't he? If I remember right.
Yes, yes.
So maybe that's slowing him down a little bit. Who knows? Jeff Daniels. I watch the Bellevue Colts regularly, and although Hagan is a good rider, he is nowhere near Pearson, in my opinion. I mean, we will see. I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting him to be. I don't think even the team manager is there so that we can put Batch in. Yeah, essentially.
That's the main reason it's been done, isn't it?
And it's so hard.
Yeah.
For James Pearson, he's done.
He has found it tough going, I think, this year in the championship. I know all of the riders in the Birmingham team have.
Exactly. So. Yeah. But he's been one of the riders that has been showing fire and fight, and So, Tarasenko. We should talk about Tarasenko. Had a good debut.
He did.
Looked on the pace, but as Jeff Daniels says, he won't find every track like the NSS.
Interesting to see whether when he turns up at Mumma, whether he's going to be riding like that.
Yeah. Dylan Spuddy has said Rory's been poor more weeks than not. Sexy Stevie and Zach doing beautiful things.
Stevie Worrell's had a fantastic start to the season. He really has. I mean, he certainly deserved that. I mean, at the moment, I would say at the moment he's our best rider.
Right. Zach Cook has impressed me.
Yeah, Zach Cook's been very, 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 very impressive again last night. But as I say, Rory was disappointing. Sam Masters wasn't quite at his best. I thought Liam Flint was pretty disappointing as well. He still can't completely master Mumma yet.
He's been having a tough time with it.
Yeah,
everywhere, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I just hope he doesn't put it right tomorrow. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, I hope he has a good match. I like the kid a lot. He's a genuine bloke. Leo Woodward, welcome, first time listener and Lions supporter. Okay, well, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, just to break off as well, we do have a match
going
tonight down in Plymouth. It is currently Plymouth 29, Oxford 30.
Wow,
so
close
really,
match.
Close meeting there. That's after heat number 10.
Scorers?
Well, the what's really keeping Oxford in front is the fact they've had so many race winners. Dan Jokes has had 2 race winners and Ben Trigger as well, and that's it for Plymouth. So only 2 riders have won races for them.
So
Henry Atkins and Ryan Kinsley have done really well at reserve as well for Oxford. So it's and of course they've got Jordan Jenkins only picked up 1 point from his rides so far. So
ride replacement doesn't work, does it?
No, not every single week anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we take a look then at the GPs? Or before we do that, we should, because this has just reminded me, there's a couple of get well soon things. I mean, we should say get well soon to Artem Laguta. I don't know whether anybody's got any news on
I haven't seen anything on that.
how
No.
his leg is after last night's little shunt with Chris Harris.
Yeah.
Some great racing, by the way.
I haven't seen this meeting yet. Looking forward to seeing that
Yeah,
when I get a chance.
it's a good meeting. And you've got some news about Billy Bates, I believe.
Billy Bales, yes. Billy Bales sadly passed away at the age of 94 yesterday. He was the last surviving member of the two teams that my dad saw from his first meeting in 1953, which was Birmingham against Norwich. But he was the first cycle speedway rider to go on to become a world finalist in motor speedway. He rode firstly for Yarmouth, then for Norwich until the track closed at the end of 1964, and then finished his career at Sheffield. Plenty of tributes have been put onto him, including one from his former teammate, the legendary Arvo Funding. So it was clearly very highly thought of. So rest in peace, Billy.
Rest in peace,
Great
indeed.
innings though at the age of 94.
94,
so.
yeah.
It's good age. Good age.
Okay, we've got a couple of things just popped up. Apparently Birmingham's on BSN tomorrow.
Yep.
So might be a few interested people signing into that one to
Yep.
see how the new team goes. And Dylan Spuddy says Sod's Law Artem gets injured last night. That's most of the Wolves crowd down for next week.
No, you're thinking of Kingsley and you're thinking, do you really want to be? But I mean, the fact that Laguta is possibly going to be there is going to be a big pull for a lot of people, I think.
Apparently Rocklaw have tweeted Laguta is fit to ride at the weekend. And Craig Smith says Tarasenko looked a really decent rider last night at the NSS. It's such a shame about Hans Andersen. I have to echo that.
Yeah.
He looks a totally different rider. He was world class. He was better than Nicky Pedersen for 1 or 2 seasons back there.
Oh, I'm not so sure about that,
Well,
personally.
he was world class,
Fight.
Wouldn't look very good on the TV, though, would it?
That's one. And I've lost that now.
Oh, right, okay. There we go.
There we go. He looks a totally different rider. He was world class, but he actually looks like what's that? Looks like a different rider. Looks like a novice at the moment. I think this will be his last season. Shame he's not gone out.
I look at Hans Andersen and I just think he's one of these riders that is carried on because he doesn't really know what else to do. I mean, he only got 1 point last night at Bellevue from reserve as well. He's been one of a really good loyal servant to British Speedway, even in that period where all the top riders weren't riding over here. He was one of the few that remained loyal to it over the years, and it's a real shame, and a big hero at Peterborough as well, which was pivotal to their, that legendary 2006 playoff final win against Reading. But when you see a rider that's been world class, and he was a world class rider. I mean, I don't quite agree with you that he was as good as Nicky Pedersen. I
think just for one and a half seasons he was.
Yeah,
and there was a bit of needle between the two of them.
They don't get on. I think it's quite well known that they're not exactly the best of friends. But it's sad to see a rider that's sort of that who's been a top rider. I mean, I remember watching Joe Screen during when he was in decline, and it was painful. Having someone who'd seen Joe Screen when he first started racing, he was mesmerising to watch. So
there's that famous video, isn't there, on YouTube of him
racing in Poland? Yeah. The reaction of the crowd as well. It's amazing. If you haven't seen that, you must see it.
You really should see it. Brian Buck's sort of coming in on your territory here.
No, I haven't got one ready, so that's great. Yeah.
So, I know nobody here knows the answer to this, I don't think. True or false, did a Birmingham rider ever twice fail his motorcycle driving test? If true, what was the name of the embarrassed rider concerned? First prize, a look of derision from your Wolverhampton man.
You did tell me. Well, I've forgotten it.
You've forgotten it.
Do you think it's a recent rider?
Don't think so. I don't know. I mean,
I did have a guess and I got the wrong answer.
An Australian rider, was it?
I mean, if there was only someone else in this studio that could do a quick Google to find out for us.
No, that's cheating. I'm not going to do
Dylan Spuddy Hodgick says it will be great to pack out Perry Bar tomorrow night with. God, will you keep it still?
Oh, God.
As Bishop said to the actress. Tomorrow night with the Mayor of West Midlands, Andy Street, coming down tomorrow night with a fight for the future on. He'd be a handy guy to have your to have Loving His Speedway on your side, absolutely. So everybody get yourselves down there. Drew Kemp is a great addition to the Lions, lots of potential. I mean, he's sort of a Marmite rider at the moment, isn't he? People either like him or don't.
He had a tough season with us last year, but must admit I was a little bit surprised that nobody picked him up at the start of the season.
Yeah, because what is it they say? Form is temporary, classes.
Because I mean, a couple of years ago, he was everybody I think everybody in the country was looking at him, weren't they, as a potential signing, because he made such a big impression on his first National League season. But
Spuddy's asked us to mention the BSSC Birmingham Speedway Supporters Club, that is, event on the 7th of July with Andy Graham. Sure to be a special night, and he'll be actually taking his bike to the event too for people in attendance to have pictures on, which is awesome.
Is that the bike that he won the British Championship on in '82?
I don't know. We will find out. What do we make of managers doubling up now as well as riders only in Speedway? Well, yeah, we was talking about this off air a little bit, wasn't we?
Yeah. I would imagine that he would be coming in. Well, he certainly wouldn't be doing the job for nothing. I can guarantee you that now. I would imagine probably he will. I'm not suggesting this would happen, by the way, but he'll probably want assurances that he's not going to have Lawrence Rogers peeping over his shoulder, sort of keeping out of the way a little bit. Because I don't think when a new manager comes in, I think the last thing they want is the previous manager standing there, sort of watching and seeing what they're doing. But
I mean, to be fair to Lawrence, he hasn't made any comments about it or anything, has he? So. Dave Twines had a guess at Brian Buck's little conundrum and said Jeff Bennett ? Dave Twines is older than he looks. Kevin Jackson says Hagen is really good, and Brian says no, it wasn't Jeff Bennett.
Okay.
Back to Google.
Okay.
I wish I could remember it. I wish he did tell me.
I'm going to have a punt. Because he said look of derision from man from Wolverhampton. It wasn't by any chance Hans Nielsen, was it?
Yeah.
Just a thought. Do you remember the deaf and dumb rider at Brum? Must have been a pain when he got injured.
Sorry.
That's terrible.
Awful.
I don't think it was Arthur.
Arthur Browning?
I don't think it was Arthur.
Arthur? Yeah.
It says, interesting to see Hagen come in at number 6 tomorrow night with Joe going at 7. I don't think it makes any difference because they can just switch them around willy-nilly anyway, so don't think it makes a lot of...
It's got busy tonight.
It has, yeah.
It has, yeah.
Oh, hang on, what's that? Oh, no, I thought that was the answer to the
Are
question.
you okay?
No, I thought it was the answer.
Oh, right, yeah. It got me as well. Right, GPs. We said we'd talk about them about 10 minutes ago, and we haven't mentioned them once.
No, that's it. 2 Grand Prix we've had since we've last together, of course.
And 2 wins. 1 win but he's still in the lead.
Yep.
Is Mr. Bartek Smarslik.
Yep.
He seems to just pull it out when he needs to.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do really at the moment, isn't he? He doesn't need. I don't think he needs to do anything sensible. Stupid. We should start really with the Czech Grand Prix because that's. I mean, I've been a big critic of Prague as a track,
was a good
that
match.
was a very good. That was a very good meeting.
Right from the start as well.
Yeah, some really good racing, which is unlike Prague. Prague's obviously a reputation for being a bit of a gators paradise, but really enjoyed that Grand Prix and back-to-back wins for Martin Vizierek as well. Of course, he won there in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really enjoyed that meeting. Germany was a tough one. The track was. It wasn't a very good racetrack, I don't think. I mean, it looked very dry and.
Spuddy has said it doesn't deserve a mention. It was a shower of
Yeah, it was poor over decade, and it was a bit of a after the Lord Mayor show really, because I think everybody had high hopes after the previous week's GP, but it wasn't great. So, but obviously we're going back onto the more established tracks next, aren't they? With Gorzov obviously the next one. Bartosz Smazlik's former home, of course. He's not riding for Gorzov anymore. That's obviously his hometown, but he's not riding. Obviously, he's made the move to Lublin for this season. I think he just needs to
just keep making semis.
I think so, yeah.
Isn't he really?
Yeah, frustrating for Dan Bewley because he would have had a great chance of winning that meeting in that last Grand Prix if he'd managed to. If he hadn't had the problems at the start of the semi-final. Robert Lambert was there or thereabouts, but I think the big concern at the moment has got to be with Ty Wolfenden because he was really.
Well, I was just going to
started off in Prague. Well, obviously won the first race in Prague, and he thought, "Well, this sets him up for a great night. He's got a good record there." But I think he only scored one more point.
Something like that. Just didn't have the pace.
Just never looked in it at all.
Wasn't making starts. Didn't have the pace. Was making wrong decisions on the bike. Craig Smee's talking about that. Woffenden's form is worrying at the moment. I fear if the Russian riders come back next season and they're getting picked, and I need to see a little bit more of that, please. Now I'm seeing less. There we go. And are getting picked by the promoters. Ty could potentially miss out. Can't see him making top 6 unless he has an unbelievable change in fortune and wins a few GPs on the spin.
I don't think Ty's won a Grand Prix since 2018. You know,
something like that. Yeah, something like that.
2018, I'm sure that was his last. That was his last World Championship. 2018, I'm sure it was 2018 was the last GP he won. But at the moment he's not even the top Brit, which is going to be really that should hurt him really. He made a big song and dance about the fact that he was putting a big emphasis on this season. Going to go back to Australia. Get ready for the new season.
To be fair, the first GP, you thought, he's going the right direction here.
Yeah, but it just seems to have gone into a bit of a tailspin, doesn't it? And I agree. If the Russians do come back into it, which I don't think you can rule out of, with Robert Lambert and Dan Bewley, looking good for top 8s, Tom might be the fall guy.
And then what happens then? He doesn't. You have to wonder a little bit whether his commitment to Speedway is as great.
Whether he would be tempted to come back to race.
That's another thing,
Obviously, it'd be nice if we were running next year. He would come back to another season at Wolves, but we'll see how that goes. But hopefully he can turn it round. And because we want to see as many British riders in the series as possible.
So Brian says that I need to go a long way further back than Hans Nielsen.
I thought you did.
But I was just coming to that, but it was a post-war rider, so we have to defer to Chris, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the only one that can answer that one then. Stephen Barr was the deaf and dumb rider. Okay. And Ty Woffenden was in, this is from Spuddy, okay, Birmingham the other day. Calling it now, he'll replace Nick at number 1 for the Promise. So, what average would he come in at? 14, I would have thought.
Like that,
welcome back to Sheffield, Josh Pickering, who's a rider I really rate, by the way. Baliego, simply not good enough. Pico makes us stronger. Don't know who the Wolves fans were last night who brought us the Bentu Barmy Army, who brought us a point, but say a massive thank you. Save the Wolves.
Yeah, you were very vocal, guys, I must admit. It was good to hear, though. Good to have a bit of atmosphere at Speedway. I was a bit perplexed that they were singing "We can see you sneaking out" at the end of the meeting when they just lost by 14. But that's
It's banter. It's banter, isn't it?
Yeah, something that's been missing in Speedway.
I don't have a problem with it as long as it doesn't cross the line.
I don't mind if it crosses the line.
There are people in Speedway that don't like banter.
But, wild card for British GP, says Lee Woodward, ? Oh, we are coming up close to that now.
Whoever wins the British Championship, I believe, isn't it still?
Is it still that?
Yeah.
When's the British Championship now?
Well, they haven't learned the lesson because I think it's still 2 weeks before the Cardiff Grand Prix, isn't it? We had this last year, didn't we? So, and obviously it was a bit of a mess last year because Adam Ellis ended up getting in, even though he hadn't. I know. Yeah, you could argue that he'd won it the previous season, and there wasn't a
Grand Prix But so does that mean that last year's winner wins it? What I mean? Where do you stop with that? So, but
well, strictly speaking, last season, Bomber should have got it. Bomber would have had a great chance if that. I mean, he was joint leader with Tom Brennan, and the form Bomber was in last season. He might have had. I don't think he would have won it again, but he certainly would have been a big spoiler.
Gosh, there's lots of stuff coming up on here. We have to go back a little bit. Hopefully, Adam Ellis is all right too after trying to kill himself into the Bend 4 fence.
He does this every time he comes to Monmouth. You can guarantee at least one meeting where he'll try and demolish the back straight fence. Or fortunately, on this occasion, it was the It was he went into the air fence, but it just seemed to happen all the time with Adam at Monmouth.
We'll have to say hello to Ben, who's letting us know that there was a massive 18-point win for Kent versus a very strong Bellevue side on Sunday. See, I was going to predict that as well.
34-37 now at Plymouth in favour of Oxford, so Oxford continuing their strong run of form.
Yep.
They've just got a 5-1 to take the lead again in Heat 12. We're now into the interval.
Robert Greenwood says, we never crossed the line. It's all good, guys. We were clapped by the home fans on our last visit after, again, another defeat. Charles Wright's a good shout for wildcard this year. I think that is a
possible. Obviously, you'll have home track advantage at Bellevue. So.
Yeah, I mean, we will have a chat about that closer to the event. I'm just looking at the time, and I can't believe it's 22.
Yeah.
We really need to get the Nigel Pearson prediction lead.
Crikey, you got it right this week.
Yeah,
I know, yeah.
Got it written down for me.
I haven't got the table, so you have to chuck amongst yourselves.
Okay, well, like we've been doing all night. We've been doing all night.
Yeah, not very well, but yeah.
No.
While we're waiting for that, of course, there is the latest update from Brandon, of course. It's now been confirmed that Brandon Estates have appealed to the Secretary of State against the unanimous refusal by Rugby Borough Council Planning Committee to grant planning permission.
Who's the Secretary of State these days? Because it changes like every other week.
Whichever one hasn't resigned recently, I think. It's the refusal.
We should all be writing to him.
Refusal notice was dated the 16th of November 2022, and from that point, the applicants had 6 months to which to lodge an appeal. The appeal was lodged on the 12th of May 2023. The appeal will be determined on the basis of a public inquiry, which is set to begin on September the 19th. We have copies of the appeal documents, and I can assure everyone that these will be scrutinised with exactly the same rigour as all previous submissions made on behalf of Brandon Estates. We will point out to the Planning Inspectorate any errors or untruths which appear in these documents. We will also be applying for Rule 6 status with the Inspectorate, which will enable us to formally participate in the appeal process. All correspondence received by Rugby Borough Council relating to this application has been forwarded to the Planning Inspectorate. If you sent an email or letter to Rugby Borough Council either supporting or opposing the application, then you should have received an email or letter explaining the process. Yes, I have. This also gives you the opportunity to contact the Inspectorate at the contact details given in the letter and either modify or withdraw your previous representation or make further comments. If you wish to reaffirm your opposition or support for the planning application, then you are more than welcome to contact the Inspectorate. Should you wish to make further comments, please note that these should be entirely regarding the Brandon Estates planning application rather than our own application, which is currently on hold whilst this process takes place. We can assure everyone that we'll be working to ensure that the Inspectorate are provided with all of the facts required such that the decision is taken by the members of the Planning Committee at Rugby Borough Council and supported by an overwhelming majority of the general public is upheld on appeal.
So this sounds like the last shot, doesn't it? This is it now.
I think so. My concern over it really is at the moment is that obviously we remember Warren McCready, they was obviously rejected, and in the end it went somewhere else in the country and it was put through. So
yeah, well, everybody's just got to make a noise.
Yep,
that's all you can do. Somebody's asked what's happened to Ricky Wells. We presume he's retired.
Well, we haven't seen him for a couple of years now, have we? So
Dylan says quietly retired, I think.
Fred says, if you want to see a great atmosphere at a Speedway match, get yourself to a Glasgow versus Edinburgh derby. Brilliant banter and atmosphere at Armadale and Ashfield. How long is it going to be at Armadale? That's another one, isn't it?
Yep. I bet it's not. But I mean, from what I've read on Glasgow Edinburgh derbies, they're pretty feisty. So probably isn't as feisty as Wolves Cradley was, but
yeah. Or Cradley Birmingham was pretty bad as well. Right. Well, here's the leaderboard. Have I sunk beyond trace?
Probably.
Not quite.
Given that I haven't actually put anything in
so you will
for a couple of weeks.
Down there.
Okay.
Down the bottom.
Where are you? Oh dear, there's somebody between us,
yeah.
which is unfortunate for that person.
Yeah. And a 21-point gap
Between you and me?
Yeah.
Oh, good God.
So Sorry.
Well, that's okay. I'm gonna pull it back from now. Shall we just get on with it?
Yeah.
Because we're running a little bit late with this.
Okay, we'll start off with tomorrow's meeting first of all. Birmingham against Berwick.
Right, now I'm just going to make a vote here that since he's had 2 weeks off, he goes first.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the first one? Sorry.
Birmingham against Berwick.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I'm going to go for a win, I think.
Well, I'm sorry.
For Berwick, obviously.
Really?
Berwick by 6.
Ooh.
I'm actually going to say Birmingham by 10. I'm going to be really positive.
This is a massive meeting for
Isn't
Birmingham.
it?
I think it's a must-win match.
man.
So I'm going to go for Birmingham by 6. It's not going to be easy because Berwick have got riders who ride Womber Green well.
Mumble Green. It's a good job we're at Petty Bar then, isn't it?
Sorry, I've got Womber on the brain. So. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Next up, what a match this should be: Oxford against Poole.
Ooh. Damn, man, I've got to
Yeah.
come up with that one. I'm going to go for a draw.
I can hear that fence creaking from here.
Yeah. It's up to you.
I've gone for Oxford by 10.
I'll go Oxford by 12.
Ooh, that's a big goal.
Oxford will take that all day
Certainly
long.
will, yeah. Next up,
Okay.
Sheffield against Leicester. That'll be another interesting one.
Yeah.
That's meaning.
Nope, it's Matt.
Oh, no.
I've gone Sheffield by 4.
I'll go Sheffield by 10.
I'm tempted to go draw again. No, because Sheffield have got Pico back now, haven't they?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Sheffield by 10 as well.
Okay. Ipswich against Peterborough's next.
I'll go Ipswich by 6.
Ipswich against Peterborough.
Yep.
Did he really just say by 6?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
well, not allowed.
I think it's going to be Ipswich by about 14 at least.
That's what I've gone for.
Who's
14.
above who in the league, please?
Well, everybody's above Peterborough.
Yeah, exactly. They're a very strong side. They're holding the whole league up. Ba-bum.
Okay, so next up is Edinburgh against Birmingham.
Is that Mike?
That's up to me, yeah. That's going to be an interesting test for the new team, isn't it, to see where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, Edinburgh haven't done...
Haven't had a great start of the
no.
Edinburgh.
I'm going to say Edinburgh by 4, which, yeah, that would be interesting. Just got this feeling.
I've gone Edinburgh by 8.
And the last time I had this feeling, we beat Plymouth.
I'll go Edinburgh by 10.
Okay. Glasgow against Scunthorpe's next. That'll be another interesting one.
And this is up to you, Matt.
I've gone Glasgow by 14.
I'll go Glasgow by...
Well, I might as well go in the middle and say by 12. I was going to go 14, but...
Redcar against Plymouth is the next one.
That's up to you, Chris.
Red car by 6. That was it.
Red car by 18.
I've gone Redcar by 22.
Did you get a feeling you might have done something wrong there, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay. Workington against Oxford in the National League is next.
Okay, that's down to me, isn't it? That's
Yep.
going to be a tasty little National League. I'm going to say Workington by 4.
Okay. I've gone Oxford by 10 on that one.
I'll go Oxford by 6.
This is where I get it back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep saying that.
Leicester against Edinburgh staying in the National League.
That's up to you, Matt.
Leicester by 16.
I'll go Leicester by 10.
Leicester by 18.
Okay. Peterborough against Bellevue in the Premiership on Monday.
Chris?
I'll go Peterborough by 6.
That's a big call.
Yeah, Bellevue by 8.
Pull it back.
I've gone Bellevue by 10 on that one. And last up is Wolves against Kings Lynn.
And that's up to me, isn't it?
Yep.
Kings Lynn by 20. Wolverhampton by 16.
I suppose a lot of it's going to depend on whether Lagoose is going to be fit.
Yeah. Well, he's riding this weekend, so
Doesn't
yeah.
mean he's going to be riding on for Kings Lynn. I'll go Wolves by 10 on that one.
I'll go Wolves by 6.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, there's a few more comments come up on the shout box, so let's have a look. You can go down a bit further than that. No, that's up. Your other down.
There we go.
Oh yeah, Paco is out injured. We should say
Get well see Paco.
yeah, get well soon. Are we keeping you up?
Yeah,
there?
just a bit.
Like
2 weeks.
Possible to law your life.
That's the first time I've done that in 22 years.
in 2 minutes.
This is the last time.
It's funny it comes while he's talking. It's funny it comes while he's talking though. Isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Yeah. We started me off there.
but Ben Clifton says Sam Hagan on 2 points versus James Pearson on 4 points is a no-brainer for me. Sam will do a decent job and frees up 2 points for the crucial top end. I mean, that's the logic of the whole
Yeah.
thing. It just feels so hard on James Pearson. On the same average, Pearson is probably a season ahead of Hagen, but both have enough potential to reach the top leagues. Had the chance to watch both on Sunday. I have a feeling somebody's going to sign Pearson somewhere along the lines.
I think so.
He may well come back to Birmingham this year and haunt us.
He just hasn't really.
He's had some good.
He's had some good
matches.
His gating hasn't been very good this season. No, that's been the big problem.
Yeah.
Starting was very good last season, I think, but it's sort of taken a bit of a back step this team in this season. So I mean, I think a lot of it really is the fact that the team's been struggling in general. So
yeah, it's difficult to carry that.
Yeah,
when the team's. I mean, the only one that's done any good really is Alfie Botel.
He's been the star man, really, hasn't he? He's probably the one rider that I would say, he's safe from.
I hope so, because the guy's been a revelation for me. I would not have picked. You'd have asked me at the beginning of the season which were the riders I was most worried about. He would have been the one that I said.
At number 2 as well, but he's done well. He has done well.
Yep.
Give him his due.
And we've caught up on the Clemmie.
We've caught up for once. Good God.
Oh, yeah.
Good God, good God. So the next GP then is Gorja.
Yep, in a couple of weeks. No, it's not this week, it's the week after.
And there are certain riders now that need to have a really good show. I mean, like Ty Woffington for reasons that we've said, but in the in the sense of challenging for the title and not just handing it to Bartek Schmarslik. I mean, you're looking at people like the two Brits, like Jason Doyle,
Leon Madsen.
I mean, he's been disappointing.
He has been. Yeah.
Oh, they did really well in the SEC,
Yep.
the European Championship. And there was somebody else. I was like Freddie Lindgren.
Yeah, he hasn't been quite as.
He started
well,
off
to
like
be fair, it started off like Aston before. Although he was third last time out, I think, wasn't he? So
yeah,
so he's still very much in it.
So we've had a couple of seasons now of this new GP style GP point system.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think you was in favour of it when it first started.
I still preferred the old one where every single race counted towards your points tally.
And when I heard it, I actually was in favour of it.
Yeah.
But now I'm not so much. I think it's made the 20 races before the semi-final and
irrelevant.
the final.
Yeah, that was the problem. That's what I.
So, what would be interesting for me is to, if somebody wants to crunch the numbers, to see what the difference would be if it was done the old way with the results.
Could do, yeah.
So if somebody feels like doing that,
if they've got time to do it, so.
Apparently Magic has been poor as well. So get well soon. I don't know in what way it's been poor.
His form's been poor, isn't it? In the GPs. Magic and Oscar, yeah.
Max Frick will be going in GP.
Yep.
Oh, he means poor and is not very good.
Yeah, he hasn't been great.
Right, okay, right. Yeah, no, I thought it meant poor, as in poorly.
He always seems to start off okay, doesn't he? But then he just tails away.
Dudek, yeah, he has gone backwards, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he had that really good season where.
Well, he was second, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and
then it went down to the last GP, as I recall.
Yeah.
We had better chip in for GP calendar for Matt, says Jeff Daniels. I presume that means something.
Is there a Grand Prix this weekend?
I don't know. You're normally the man in tune with that. Somebody will tell
I've
us.
I've lost track of time. So.
Yeah, well, you're not allowed to. We've been told you're not allowed to have another one, by the way. So, Craig Smith says, I think the old tally was better, but people were winning GPs and not having the most points. I think offering double points in the final would have solved that in most occasions. That's what it used to be like, didn't it? Double points in the final.
You're not going to please everybody all the time, are you? I think one of the things that was sort of raised at the time really was that you could say, for example, you could go through the qualifying and each score a 15-point maximum and then finish third in your semi-final. So probably to me the best way to solve it would be for fourth place in the final to get 17 or 18, third place to get 20. 22 for the
on top of the points that they scored.
22 for the second and 20 and 24 for the winner, because if you go unbeaten, the most you can score in a GP without getting to the final, it would be 16 points.
There is
15 in the 5 heats, and then the 1 point in the semi-final.
Yeah.
So
there is another way of doing that. It's just occurred to me. If you want to go with this points system, is forget about semi-finals and forget about finals. The points that you score in the 21 heats, that's it. That then makes the points that you score then not irrelevant.
Yeah.
But obviously they're not going to do that. But
no, I couldn't really figure it out why they changed it. To be fair, because even if you'd had a bad night, you'd had 4 races and you hadn't scored a point, you won that last heat, and you couldn't get through into the top 8, but it was still counted towards your tally, and those 3 points at the end might have been the difference between you getting into the top 6 or not.
We got a message from James Pearson Racing here, and I'm guessing this is his dad. That's because he is a fan of the show. If you include all the races, BSN series, etc., that have happened this season, James is actually above his 4-point average. It's what I mean. Let's see. I said in my monologue, and I don't think anybody agrees with me. I felt it was the wrong decision for lots of reasons. I understand the decision, though. I've got, it. Yeah, but it's one of them, isn't it?
It's always difficult when you drop a rider because their average doesn't fit, because it's not the fault of the rider, it's the fault of the system, isn't it? So.
The reason I'll be brutally honest here. The reason that I think it's the wrong decision is because I think there are other riders in that team that are performing below what they should be performing and are showing no fight at all. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't think that's fair. That's not what I do. But
I would.
Well, I would certainly say the biggest disappointment really has been the captain. To be fair, because he's.
See, I've heard this before. I don't totally agree. At home, he hasn't been
great,
the best, but away from home, he's probably been our best rider. So apparently James is the 4th highest average in the team, which
doesn't really say much, does it? Unfortunately, so. Yeah. But no.
James Pearson Racing says he also understands the decision onwards and upwards, and that's really big.
Yeah,
that is really big.
That is.
So. Yeah, I mean it's been quite a Birmingham oriented. Show tonight.
Orientated, so yeah. So.
I'm sorry, I've been listening to too many American programs. I'll be talking about aluminum next.
Don't say that.
For goodness sake.
He says, thank you, love the show, good luck to the team.
Thank you very much.
That's me and Matt then. James can come back hopefully in the next team changes, says Susan Jordan.
The next team changes.
Yeah. That'll be next week.
Then next week, we shall watch this space. I have a feeling there are going. As I say, I think the riders will be under no illusion that they're riding for their places.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the way to look at it really is the season now starts for Birmingham.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. It has to.
Hand on heart, do you think Wolves will be running next season? Matt?
I'm optimistic. I wouldn't say confident, but optimistic that something will happen. Whether that's get a site, I don't think we'll get a site next year. Or whether that's going to be more CVS being able to squeeze another year out of Ladbrokes. I think that's going to be the with the best will in the world, not going to get a track ready for next season, even if they started work on it tonight.
A lot of that depends on what you can constitute a track. I mean, if they just do the track, and the accoutrement that possibly
it's going to be it's going to be very, very basic. I mean, the one thing I think you can guarantee with Chris Van Straten is that he certainly isn't going to be the sort of promoter that's going to walk away. I mean, he's already managed to get Speedway back into Middlesbrough. Okay, it's Redcar now, but
you get the same feeling with the current promotion at Birmingham as well. I mean, they've had plenty of opportunities to walk away.
Well, he certainly learned all the downfalls of being a Speedway promoter, hasn't he, Nigel Tolley? But you have to say you've got to give him credit because he's really you can't say that he hasn't put the money in, because he certainly has.
Absolutely.
You question his sanity in doing it, but you certainly can't question the. And he has, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the Birmingham promotion have made mistakes, in terms of team selections and things like that. But certainly you can see that there's a real desire to turn it round.
Absolutely. Craig Smith says, did anyone read Jack Smith's interview in Speedway Start the other week? He begroans his lack of opportunity in Speedway. I think he's had more opportunities than most riders.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
He seems to have gone backwards, doesn't he?
He does. You think when he had those couple of years at Birmingham, he looked a real prospect, didn't he? And he just never really has.
He was full of real aggression and but it seems to have gone there. Right, well, I think we have come. I've lost the power of speaking us now.
Speaking.
I rest my case. We've come to that moment when we say ta-ra.
Yeah.
Hope everybody has a good week. Enjoy your Speedway. Unless you come from Berwick. I'm only joking. Were the Tullys that rode Speedway in the 50s? No, because it's Tully, not Tully. No, what's so? No. Any Birmingham Speedway supporters out there, get yourselves down tomorrow. You could really make the difference.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the crowd is tomorrow, isn't it, with the changes and things like that. And obviously, there was. I think. I do agree with you. I think a lot of the criticism towards Lawrence was, and certainly the personal criticism was totally uncalled for. But obviously, a lot of Birmingham fans wanted Lawrence gone, and okay, he's still there, but he's not team manager anymore. So, see whether.
I tell you, I mean, we might as well finish with this. I tell you now, Birmingham Speedway. Not only would they not be there without Lawrence
Rogers,
we wouldn't be able to function at the moment without Lawrence Rogers, because he's there, and almost every day that is needed to be there, he's there to whatever time it's needed for the place to be open. So he'll be there tonight while they're putting the tyres down and getting it ready for tomorrow, and he'll be there tomorrow when we're taking the tyres up, getting it ready for the greyhound to do whatever they do. We'll leave it at that, I think. And Graham Oldfield says that he thinks the Wolves are looking at a site in Essington. Okay.
I'm not saying anything.
It's in Glasgow, though.
Only in Speedway. Right, everybody, you take care. Enjoy your Speedway this week. See you all next week. Take care. Good night.
Good night.
Welcome to the